Well, good morning, and maybe good, not 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. It's actually afternoon to some of you right now, just turning afternoon. Well, today I have a very special guest that is joining me, and I am going to just quick type in her name. Kimberly has an absolutely phenomenal story that she is going to be sharing with us. So if you're joining me today, and if you have ever had a health crisis in your life or somebody you love, and have also had a family crisis in your life and in somebody that you love, you need to dial into this. Financial and physical, this lady's story is absolutely compelling, and it's one that that you need to hear about. Kimberly is absolutely the most beautiful and soul, and I have had the honor of getting to know this woman in a group that we're in together, and we not only encourage each other in heart, we encourage each other in business, and we grow together as what we're doing. And we have a very similar mission and passion that we share together. And this beautiful lady that just showed up, this beautiful lady's story is one that it's really time to be heard. There's people in her world that know her story, but there's a lot of people that do not know her story that need to hear it. So welcome, my beautiful friend. Mwah. So good to have you join me in my lion's den. And so I'm so excited to have you. Kimberly, I was just sharing with the world about our Facebook world, as you're on too, of the beautiful heart that you have and your love and absolutely passion for people. And you have had a run of a health crisis that went on in your life, a financial crisis. And you know, we both believe, and we know that God introduced us to something. Well, you'll have to tell your story, me 2 years ago, but you have something that you have to share, because there's people out there right now listening, Kimberly, that have gone through health crisis, and that health crisis has led to a financial crisis. And I believe that your story today is going to bring hope. It's going to bring encouragement of how your 100 trillion cells were woken up by this NRF2 activation that's all natural, that has changed your life. So Kimberly, will you do the honor to us and my community, your community, and share with us your heart and your journey? What took place? What's going on?
Can you hear me okay,
I hear
Becky?
you perfectly, and I can't wait to hear more.
It's kind of crazy. I actually have never done this before. People know bits and pieces of my story, but I wouldn't say that there's even actually, other than my husband, anyone who actually knows the full story. And thank you for this. You've really pushed me outside my comfort zone, and I appreciate that. It's very easy for me to speak in front of a group of people and one-on-one, but I've never gone live other than, maybe one other time inside of a group that I'm in. But I do appreciate this. But my story actually, it started years ago, and it's been a long process. Actually, after my first son was born, he's now almost 13. In 2 months, he'll be 13. After he was about a year, I got really bad chronic migraines. I've never had a headache in my life. And but after my delivery of him, my health kind of went wacko. And it took about 6 months to get back to normal. My blood pressure was crazy, ridiculously high, and all that. And then I got the migraines, and then they eventually went away. The doctor was going to put me on a really heavy med, and I said, no. Even then, back then I knew it was actually a seizure medicine used for migraines. And, and I've lived a healthy life. I've been very active in sports. I always thought, I was doing great by myself. And then, this is a period of time that obviously will never escape me, because I was actually, it was a month before I got married, and I remember being at home and doing something. I was in the process of doing something for our wedding. You know, Brody and I got married 8.5 years ago, and I got vertigo, and I was really sick, violently sick. I almost didn't, you know, couldn't see what I was dialing on the phone, but it kind of all started then. I was put on antibiotics, and I will be clear with everybody, every time I've been put on an antibiotic, I have a horrible reaction. I'm allergic to everything. So, you know, it was scary. The doctor told me I needed 2 to 3 months of antibiotics because I had a severe inner ear infection. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's not good. And I knew right away. It ended up being okay, I thought, until about a month after I got married. My husband and I were actually on a camping trip with some friends, and earlier in that, you know, about a week prior, there was something off with my eye, and this was back in 2009. And I was sitting in my sister's house looking out the window at the lake, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but at any rate, what happened was that little situation, I went to the eye doctor, nothing. A week later, my eyesight was completely gone in my left eye. We were on a camping trip, and I kind of went into a panic, and, you know, Sunday morning waking up, I couldn't see anything. We went into the ER, and that's basically where this all started. I was diagnosed eventually with optic neuritis pretty quickly. And then from there, I was actually admitted into the hospital immediately. And I underwent an MRI and not CT scan, but spinal tap, and they were checking me for MS. And all I could think was, oh my goodness. I mean, I have a family member actually just pass away a couple weeks ago from MS. So I know how detrimental it can be. I was scared. Everybody around me like treated me like I had MS. So it was, even the doctors, my test results all pointed to MS. And I'll never forget going into the doctor's office, September of 2009, and I literally was in there for maybe 2 minutes, and the doctor said, "You don't have MS." And I was stunned. And I was asking questions, and nope, you don't have MS. I'm like, okay, I don't. And it was kind of like that shock, that relief that I was on such heavy medication at that time. The steroids that they put inside you are horrific. They actually make you feel like you have MS. I couldn't open anything. I was shaking, for I remember at least a month, where it was abnormal. But we got the good news, and they sent us off, and we were newlyweds. I mean, this is a time that I'm supposed to enjoy in my life. And there was kind of like this little, I don't want to say black cloud over it, but it was tough because, this is why I don't go live.
We love you. We thank you for your heart. We love your heart, Kim. Cheer her on, guys, on Facebook. Send some hearts across the screen. Cheer Kim on.
I actually gave my husband an out. Like I said, if I have MS, you don't have to be married to me. And that's what I love about him, Brody, is just, he's a godsend to my life in more ways than I can imagine, because he's been at my side the last 7 years of all of this, and it has not been easy. Okay. But at that point, the doctor said, you know, you are able to start, because the first thing I asked is, when can we try for a baby? Because we were ready. And he said, as soon as you want. And that was really exciting for us. So we did, actually. And I did get pregnant, and then I miscarried. And then I got pregnant again, and then I miscarried again. And I had a vanishing twin with my first son. So I actually lost one prior. I didn't mention that. But when I went into the doctor, you know, I was, I think, 36. So they said, you know, you're kind of old. So you know, actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't 36 yet, but it took, you know, till I was 35 actually to get pregnant. It took years for us. We ended up going through quite a bit, infertility stuff, you know, trying to figure this out. And I actually was diagnosed with the only thing that they could find was, I was told I was MTHFR compound heterozygous. And, you know, I started to look into that a little bit, but I mean, really they blew it off. And she said, you know, it'll happen over time. And so we just kept trying. And I took some things in order to help that. And I ended up getting pregnant all naturally on my own. I spent 15 years in professional staffing and recruiting, and I was in sales. And that was my life. I was, you know, helped people find jobs, and then I moved into the sales aspect of it. And it was extremely stressful. And I honestly think just the situation that I was in was maybe preventing my body from that too much stress. So I ended up, you know, moving on from that. And that's when I got pregnant. And fast forward, my pregnancy was great with Keegan for the most part. He's now 5.5, and we're blessed to have him. And I will say that, you know, this is really where things like kind of got a little scary. Actually, I delivered Keegan. I had a C-section, and 3 days after he was born, I had a pulmonary embolism. And that is where my life forever changed. That is where my eyes popped wide open. And again, you know, it's one of those things where I felt like death. I felt like death. Obviously, blood clotting is a factor in my life. That though they did determine that was the reason for my miscarriages. And then a pulmonary embolism, and you know, it's starting to get real for me here. I asked my doctor if this is something that I could die from, and she said, yeah. And so needless to say, I was pumped full of blood thinners and sent home the next day. And I can't even describe to you the feeling of walking out of that hospital with a brand new baby and not knowing if I was going to live. You know, and for 24 hours a day for the next month, I had somebody with me by my side taking care of me. Brody, again, stepped in. He slept sitting up next to me for I don't know how long. It was like first 2 weeks. And I was too afraid to sleep because I didn't know if I was going to wake up. I couldn't lay down because I felt like I was suffocating. And this is where it enters into my life, is anxiety. It's something I've never dealt with, ever. And I really didn't know what it was until I had several anxiety attacks that either I didn't know if I was having a heart attack, a panic attack, or it was another pulmonary embolism. I actually went in June 3rd, I'll never forget, because I was so ill and I couldn't breathe. And they ended up doing another CT scan and found out that my clots had dissolved. So I had peace of mind, but that is what I now know, the debilitating aspect of what anxiety can do to a person. So whenever somebody says they have anxiety, I feel for them. Like, I can't even describe it. I got far enough outside of that event of my life, probably 2 years it took, and I no longer had anxiety attacks. You know, it was normal living for me, but I had daily dizziness and it just wouldn't go away. And then I started to have other situations happening inside me that, you know, I was diagnosed with GERD and acid reflux. I had pain I can't even describe, radiating throughout my body. I had gut issues, never had any of this before. And of course I was put on a proton pump. And even sometimes that didn't help me. So I was popping, you know, antacids, pepsids, you know, to get by. And so I really started to dig deep and change my diet completely. I did research on MTHFR. I started digging deeper into my health than anybody probably even could dream about in their life, and made a complete overhaul full of changes in our household. And because I was sick and tired of being sick. On top of all of that, they had found a pancreatic cyst and a kidney cyst in the CT scan when I had my pulmonary embolism, and they worried me quite a bit about the pancreatic cyst, and it's still something that sits in the back of my mind, but I don't worry about it anymore like I used to. I used to get checked often, and I was diagnosed eventually now with Barrett's esophagus, and they said for 37 years old, that's not good. Typically, we see that in somebody that's 70 to 80 years old. And they said, you need to get this situation under control. And I said, I've changed my diet. I'm doing all the right things. And so now you can see, like, even when you think that you're doing the right things, not everything is going to help.
Wow.
And like have, a tool that is going to start to heal. And outside of that, I was sick. I was sick of being dizzy. I was so fatigued. And by this time I knew, after talking to the doctors that it just wasn't my ideal route. I needed to go a different route. And so I actually, fast forward now, through years of suffering, years of anxiety, years of, maybe borderline depression, because it's a place where you feel alone.
Yeah.
Not many people truly know what I went through. There's a lot more to this, but I think you just get sick of talking about your health and feeling poor, and you don't want to bother people with it. And so it was a battle that I truly fought alone. A lot of the time. I'm sorry.
No, please don't be sorry. This is real. People really experience this, Kimberly. No, this is real. This is truly what many people experience. So you are relating with a lot of people right now. And I can see the hearts flying across the screen as they're cheering you on and relating with what you are going through. They get it. Thank you for sharing. Keep going. You're blessing a lot of people right now.
I think, for me, I became quiet about it. That pulmonary embolism actually did change me as a person. And, I started to step back, and I really started to pay attention to things in life too, because I really felt like mine was going to be taken away from me at that time. There's been 3 times in my life where I haven't been able to take care of my kids. And that is a feeling that I don't ever want to feel again. So I actually decided to seek out a natural doctor. And at this point, this was now 2 years ago, almost to the day. Next week, it'll be 2 years to the day. And I was on so many supplements, I cannot even describe it. I was taking about 60 pills a day, so about 20 pills 3 times a day. I was literally gagging them down. I got to a point where I did start to feel a little bit better, but every time I went in, I'm telling you, my supplement would change. And it was weekly. And, it was going into this office, I knew I was walking out with an $800 bill, a package full of supplements that were different from the week prior. And I thought to myself, like, I don't know how long we can do this, or I can do this. Like, so many years, I fought this battle with my health. And you worry about your health, your physical, your mental, and your emotional health through all of this. I started to worry about our financial health because it cost us tens of thousands of dollars through the last 7 years, up until 20 months ago. But so much money where I started to feel guilt. There were times that I knew I should have gone in and done something, and I didn't, because I knew it was just going to cost so much more money. And I will say, starting 2 years ago into 2016, I look back and we must have spent upwards of $20,000+ on my health alone. And I will say that, thank God, I'm in the place that I'm in right now, because we just made our last payment last month, and that felt really good. but I can say that, fast forward to now, I was, the day that this Nerve 2 activation came into my life, I was actually home with my 4-year-old. He was 4 at the time, Keegan. Now he's 5.5. But I was on my knees praying, and this is kind of a God thing for me, and it's very real. I was praying. I was at a crossroads with my career, with my health. I just wasn't getting any better. And I just thought, please help me, make this obvious to me. I'm asking you to give me something that's going to get me better. And it's funny because I was waiting, once I got done, I brushed myself off, I composed myself, my young son's in the next room. My phone had a text message on it and said, hey, when you're ready to hear about this, let me know. I know that you're done traveling. And right in that moment, I stopped and I felt for the first time in my life, like I was paying attention to what was going on around me. I knew that, okay, this isn't a coincidence. This God is speaking to me here. Listen in on this and do something about this. And that's exactly what I did. I actually, that's the day that I started my research, and I can tell you that I haven't stopped since. It's the day that I put my foot on the gas pedal, and I haven't let off since. It was 20 months ago. I will tell you, when I started NRF2 activation in my body and took a lot of measures to improve my gut health and cleansed out my body, 5 days, in 5 days, I was completely symptom free.
Oh,
5.
I just have goosebumps over my entire body right now. I mean, every inch of me is covered in goosebumps. And why do you think that is? What happened in your body? For those that are watching that may not know what NRF2 activation is and what happened in 100 trillion of your beautiful little cells, talk about that.
I have no doubt, first of all, that God put this in my path, because I told my husband when we made the choice to do this and we were all in, I said, if this helps me, I'm taking it to the moon. Every single person I know is going to know about this, whether they want it or not. I don't care, but I will. I'm telling everybody. And that's exactly what happened. It worked. And it's honestly to reduce my oxidative stress. The inflammation in my body was rampant. I could feel it every single day. I mean, I felt like somebody had a torch inside of me, and it was pulling on my esophagus every day. And I had massive pain under my left rib cage. When I went to the natural doctor, he said I had Lyme. He said I had parasites. He said I had Clostridia. He said I had adrenal fatigue, high uric acid, Candida, all these different things that I was dealing with. And I thought, in 5 days, my head was clear. And it's obviously, we know the power of Nerve 2 activation and how it wakes up our body to do its own job. And honestly, I felt like a sprinkler system was put inside my body to douse out the flames. I remember crying to Brody and saying, he's like, why are you crying? You're better. Like, you should be happy. I said, oh, trust me, I'm happy, but I'm afraid it's going to come back. And I can honestly say in 20 months, it hasn't come back. And in 2 weeks, I was no longer dizzy. My dizziness has been gone. And honestly, by reducing my oxidative stress and turning on my own God-given antioxidants instead of taking them. And that's, I think, the biggest thing to realize is that our bodies are powerful. Everything that I do right now is more holistic and a more natural way. I truly feel that I hope and pray that people see this for what it is, because we are on the verge of something bigger than we can even imagine. And it's blessing lives like I can't even explain. I mean, I drove 4 hours just, earlier this week to do a meeting, and there was a lady there who had a traumatic brain injury, and her life in 3 weeks, from years and years and years of being in a tragic motorcycle accident, dealing with the brain damage that she has and the high oxidative stress, and literally activating her NRF2 and her NRF1 pathways, and turning her brain back on. She is a completely different person, you know. And there were powerful stories in just weeks in time. I went there last month, and to come there again, to go there again and see the changes, it's beyond me. But I step back and I look at this and think, God put this in my hands, our hands, your hands, because look at, you're blessing so many lives too, even your home story. And I think it's being put into those people's hands that are, aren't afraid to do this. I'm not afraid. I obviously have been afraid to tell my story on Facebook. I'm just pretending I'm not on Facebook right now.
You're just talking to me, Kimberly. We're just having a chat. I'm hearing her story for the first time, everyone. So we're just having a visit, and you guys get a peek in on this lovely little visit we're having.
Yeah. And I think I am beyond grateful for just all of this. Like I feel that now I don't have to worry. I used to worry every single day about my future, and worry it's such a useless emotion, and just that feeling inside of you. And I have never been more confident in a choice in the direction of our lives. My son Keegan, when this came across our plate, he had gut issues so bad. It was to the point where I was concerned that, you don't want to, again, when you have health issues or you've experienced them, I know people can relate with me on this, where you start to think, bigger things are, what if it's cancer? What if it's this? What if it's that? And he would complain every day, my belly hurts, my tummy hurts. And sometimes he wouldn't make it to the bathroom, and it was constant. It wasn't just like one here, one there, type of thing. It was constant. And all of us, every one of us went on and on the NRF2 activation, and Keegan's gut issues were gone in 2 weeks.
And he's how old? Let me stop. He is how old?
He's 5.5.
And so what?
He was 4.
Does he take like half a tablet a day, or? Yes.
I used to crush it and do a whole little procedure for him, and he would just take it down. But now he's a champ. We do two little probiotics for him a day, and
awesome to know that.
And he swallows it down in one little swallow. He's a champ now. But it's changed our lives on so many levels that it's hard to explain. I know just even Brody. When we first met, he would actually say, to me, you have so many years with me. And he was kind of joking, and his father passed away when he was 19, and his dad was 54. And they've had heart disease on his side of the family. There's no one living on that side of the family, and it's all heart attacks. And so Brody almost had it ingrained in his head that, come 50s, I might be expired, and he thought it was funny. It was kind of a joking thing for a while, and I didn't think it was so funny anymore after everything that I've been through. But once we had Keegan, it was different, and I will have to say that I feel so good about it, because I know I've just seen what this has done for the heart also. But by the time Brody will be 54, he'll have been on activating his NRF2 pathway and his NRF1 pathway and everything else that we're doing for 17 years. And we all know that it has a cumulative effect. The longer you're on these, the better it is. Upregulating your God-given antioxidants, you're healing at the cellular level, and you can't put a price on that. But I will say that, this coming into our lives has not just changed my physical, emotional, mental health, it's changed our financial health too. And I really truly feel like this is presented to so many people, and some people are just not open to the message, even when God's trying to tell them something. And I just keep praying that the right people come in. You know, I'm very heart driven. Obviously, you can tell. The only place I know how to speak from is my heart, and that's what you're gonna get from me. But I can't even describe just what this has all brought to our life in general. You know, I used to think that I was like the biggest burden, and now I feel better than I've ever felt. And I'm so driven and determined to help as many people as I possibly can, because this is just too important not to share with people. And I got a little thing on my phone today that, you know, I get these daily little quotes, and it was on cynicism. And as soon as I saw cynicism, I thought, oh, you know, because skepticism is okay. Skepticism is fine. I was a skeptic, you know, for about 2 minutes, you know, but
Yeah.
you know, the cynicism is crazy. It's like, it's too easy to be that way. It's too easy to shut this world out and say, you know what, I don't want any, because then you don't get your hopes up. You're not let down. But to keep an open mind and an open heart, like, I want everybody to listen to this. I don't care if they take it. I don't care if they join, nothing like that. Just listen and decide for yourself, because God, I mean, oxidative stress is so bad.
It's
almost well over medical conditions.
It is killing us. It is what is killing us. And that's the message, I believe, that's going out. So just in wrapping this conversation up, Kimberly, you and I both know what it's done for our lives, and now your world and our world knows what it's done for yours, and it's blessing a lot of people already as the hearts are flying across the screen. So we know it's changed your entire world financially and physically. And why this company? Why now? This is a company that's only been around and doing this the way we do it since 2009. You've been in it about 20 months, me 24. And I am a business person. I'm a business professional. You helped people find jobs, right? You are a business professional that you placed people in jobs. And that is something now that you are placing people in jobs, but now you're placing people in something that is a future that we are just on the verge of going into one of the greatest discovery, the greatest, I would, as Washington State University calls, the greatest, most extraordinary preventative and therapeutic breakthrough in history. But now we also enter in it, not only physically in our bodies, but as a business. It has changed your world. Debt is paid. It's rocking my entire world. I never dreamt that I would be going in this direction in my life, but as a business person, talking to business people that need something, a second stream, another stream, an initial stream. Talk to us in closing about that. Being a business professional and people.
Absolutely. You know, and honestly, years ago, people would say that I was their best customer at the parties that I was always invited to and different things. You know, I supported all my friends that did direct sales network marketing. I just never really was educated on it, I guess. And, you know, it's probably been one of the most amazing things that has ever come into our lives, to be able to join something so much bigger than ourselves, but to add an income stream or multiple like we have into our home that continuously comes in. You know, I lost my grandma 3 months ago, and I will say it's been devastating for me, to say the least. And I did have to step away, you know, for a few days here and there, when normally I don't take time off from this, but just to really recover. And our business grew, you know, and I thank God every day that this has come into our lives. I think that it's beneficial for everybody to take a look at it, whether it's this avenue or if they're passionate about something else. But to be in the situation that we're in a company that hasn't even hit momentum yet,
Right.
you know, pre-critical mass, just like I think about, my gosh, look where we are today. I can't even imagine where we're going to be in 5 years. And knowing that, you know, we're able to be blessed to build a business around a product or multiple products that have no questions on them, the science, the validation, the studies, the everything, that we are so incredibly blessed. It's, you know, in my mind, like Brody said, when he came home that one day and I said, I think I'm going to sign up and I'm going to take this stuff. And he said, it's a no-brainer. I'm in full support. He's never not been. And he actually took a look at the business side of it and he said, let's do it. We're all in. And he said, and then we're getting on an airplane, and we actually, you know, flew out to our first event in Anaheim. And it leaves me speechless at times, because the more of an impact that you make, the more you bless other people's lives, the more it's going to take care of you. And I never joined thinking, you know, anything. I didn't realize, I guess, when I first joined, you know, where this would take us. Now it's to the moon, and we're not going to stop until we get there. So I truly hope that people open up their eyes to see why now, why all of this is, you know, why the buzz is going on around it, because it's not going to end. It's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger. So
much stronger, so much bigger. Well, Kimberly, we will let you go on with your day. We have had a tribe of people that have just been cheering you on and loving you there. Go through all the comments, because people have just loved you and your transparency and your story, and all the hearts continue to fly across. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. This is so amazing. And I am so blessed to be on this journey with you, and to have the caliber of people like you do, and business professionals and people that just love people. Real deal, down to earth. It's just who we are, but we love people. And I know that God absolutely divinely dropped this into my world 2 years ago, as he divinely dropped it into your world. And he's knocking on a lot of people's doors right now. And I love your message. Just stay open. Give it a look. Be open, you know, and that, I love that, is just give it a chance, give it a look, and lives can be dramatically changed. So Kimberly, gosh, I loved you before. I love you even more now. Your heart is beautiful. You are beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you, everybody who has joined us today and cheered up Kimberly's story on. And we want you to know that what we're talking about, this little yellow pill, this NRF2 activator, this itself does not cure, heal, mitigate, prevent any disease whatsoever. We are not saying that. Never did she even mention that. What it does is it turns on a miracle body. It does wake up your 100 trillion cells and turn your body, my body, and whoever's taking it into a antioxidant creating factory. And that is what has brought the healing in your body. And so I imagine one thing you didn't say, you're not taking 60, pills a day, right?
No, I forgot to mention that part.
Yeah.
No. In fact, we save several $100 a month now. But yeah, no, I quit all of that. So
why take them? Why take them when you can make them? And that's what this is about. We are not taking antioxidants, we are making them, which is by far. So if you need your miracle body switched back on and you've Kimberly's story has touched your story, you either get back with Kimberly if you know her, me, or whoever shares this video with you loves you enough to have you watch it, and it's worth your time to watch. Get back with the person who shared this video with you and let them give you more information, because they care about you. And so, and we care about you, and we're blessed. We openly thank God that he brought this into our lives, and it is our mission and our intention to share it with every person we ever meet, know, and love, and that includes you. And that includes you. Mwah. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
All right, we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.